Hi, I'm Spencer,
And I'm Blake.
and you're about to get jumped.
Welcome to episode 261 of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a weekly anime podcast where we watch the anime so you don't have to.
But you should still totally watch the anime.
This week on Get Jumped, we're watching Fire Force episodes 13 through 16, plus the first three episodes of Disney's Twisted Wonderland the animation, where it doesn't matter if it's cats or if it's bugs, you're gonna catch on fire.
You're just gonna have a moment to yourself where you think to yourself, man, fire is really beautiful if you think about it. And it wouldn't just be great if, like, more stuff was on fire, because then you can, like, stare deeply into it, and then you could just be like, all of my problems can be solved if maybe I just lit everything on fire, like this car and this house and everything. And that's how, oh man, that's how arsonists start, isn't it? Okay, never mind. Let's get away from that and jump in.
I have deep and extreme concerns.
Yeah, deep and distressing. That's what I'm going for now.
Yeah, you're nailing it.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome back to Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a
Woo.
podcast where, you know, it could be used in a court of law later on to figure out my slow descent into madness.
I worry about this. These are my two worries with doing the podcast for so many years. Is one, that I have said some shit that will be regrettable. I think you and I both endeavor to be courteous with our speech on the show, but the Overton window of time may not be generous as time moves on. And the other thing is AI. I don't want to be AIified into saying some stuff that I had never said,
Yeah.
and then being like, "Well, there's 1,000 episodes. I can't prove that I didn't say it."
Yeah. How am I to know?
Yeah, who knows what comes out of my fool mouth at any given moment?
Yeah. Um Man, I haven't been watching that much anime outside of this.
No,
Um
I all I have
man,
done
I
is watch a few more episodes of. Not caught up, but I'm trying to catch back up on the new Digimon season, which is very very good. But we're gonna talk about that soon, so I'm not gonna go into it.
yeah. Well, instead, let's go ahead and just jump in with what we watched on the side this week for
Yeah.
our screen time. Man, we watched this show called Disney's Twisted Wonderland, the animation, a show that I had no idea existed until
Mm-hmm.
Blake posted it here.
Yeah, I don't remember where or why I heard about this, but I put this on our list because I was curious about it, and it's relatively new. So this is so Disney's Twisted Wonderland, it turns out, is a Japanese mobile game created by Aniplex of all people, as well as Walt Disney
Yeah,
Japan. So the creator of Black Butler, Yana Toboso, is in charge of the original plan, the main script, and the character designs. And the setting is it's an isekai type of fantasy isekai, but it's set at a Hogwarts esque magic academy with seven different houses based on seven different Disney villains. And what
yeah,
makes it a twisted wonderland is that these villains are not regarded as such. They are the heads of houses, they are revered. In one of these episodes, they are spoken of in terms that are sort of a, a generous protagonistifying retelling of some of the stuff that they do in their respective Disney movies. So this game first launched in March of 2020 with an English localization 2 years later in January of 2022. The Disney's Twisted Wonderland the animation is actually an original net animation series. So I guess it was produced for the internet, which is not to be confused with direct to streaming. Although I think in our case the results are negligible, or the differences are negligible. So this was produced by Umeta Company and Graphinica, and let me tell you, the fact that Aniplex was involved in the game, but not the anime, is a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a list of people that did stuff, but it consists of 3 seasons, adapting the first 3 manga series because there have been manga adaptations of this mobile game. The first season is what we watched. The episodes were released on Disney Plus and Hulu starting in October of 2025 and ending right before Christmas. So just a couple of weeks ago, the first season finished premiering on Disney Plus or Hulu. And there's a second season in production announced as of November of 2025. So I
Yeah.
was not aware of this mobile game, and I was not aware of this series, and here we are. Hit me with your thoughts.
Yeah. Um, I've got some thoughts.
Uh huh.
First and foremost, I can see that like it's not exactly for me. I thought that I would be more into this after I started to like realize what the premise was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it I think the thing that weirded me out the most about the show was not like the premise of it. Um, it wasn't even that I felt like it was a little bit campy to be honest.
Campy.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I want to put that in context. When I say campy on that kind of this kind of show, what I'm meaning the most by it is that it feels like it's winking to the camera a lot with its like Disney-ness. Um, did you not feel that at all? Where it's just like it has those moments where it's just like we're doing Disney. This is fun, right?
Um.
Like I had this moment a couple of times with it where like I almost felt like an uncanny valley moment of it where it's just like it feels like like anime uncanny valley where it's just like it feels enough like anime that you think it's anime, but at the same time it's just like you can see the producer behind the scene pulling the strings being like it has to have more of a Disney face vibe. And
I
it has to have more of these like pulling the punches of how they say different things for their lines
yeah.
because it
I
is a
would
Disney
say
version.
I don't. I don't feel that it felt like it was a Disney property in any meaningful way, other than literally being a Disney IP.
Yeah.
However, I do agree that there was a sense of punches being pulled, and I think that's the most noticeable in the first episode, which I'm not going to do a whole recap of. But the main character finds himself in this other world and is like, "This is a misunderstanding. I am not a magic person, so I should go home." But then there is an unrelated demon cat that is kind of the Cheshire Cat, but kind of not. Um, but instead of disappearing, it does Blue Exorcist fire. It's actually really just the character from Blue Exorcist sort of copied and pasted here, the little demon cat that he has. It's kind of exactly the
Yeah.
same. Um,
Yeah.
so this cat wants to be a sorcerer or whatever the magic user term is in this world, and wants to, be inducted into this school, but he's a cat or a demon that looks like a cat. I don't remember. And they only take people. And then here comes this person from another world who doesn't have any magical ability, who is trying to be inducted. And the cat is like, "Well, if you're not going to take him, you should take me because I can actually do magic." And then they say no. And then the cat lights everything on fire. And this is where that Disney moment comes in, which is everything is burning and nothing is damaged and no one is hurt.
Yep.
There are literally people shown to have caught on fire. There are characters running around with fire, sometimes a lot of fire, on their clothes. And there is no discussion of injury. Several of the characters that are on fire are like, "Ah, it's hot." Like they're sort of it's not like cartoon, like it's not Bugs Bunny, but like it's kind of that cartoon imperviousness of like, yeah, this seems like if you stop and think about like your entire outfit catching on fire, like this is not something where you just roll around and sort of wax about how it's a bit warm in here now. Like you are in danger of serious permanent injury and you have to deal with it immediately. And this show doesn't have any of that stake or
Yeah.
urgency to it.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was it was even in like the way that their character models are is like they're like an anime style, but like a little bit softer and almost like Disney esque.
To me,
And
it's just the Black Butler. Like it just looks like I could tell that it was the Black Butler guy because it looks like characters from Black Butler.
yeah,
I
I
do.
don't know, man.
I,
It's
I think
it
that
it
I think the first half of episode one is a decent watch, but it feels a little listless. I remember turning it on and being like, "This show is only 12 episodes. We're watching three. We're gonna get 25% of the
yeah
way through." I feel like by the end of the third episode, we had made about an episode's worth. Like we're still setting up,
yeah
and the entire first 5 minutes of episode one is like introducing all these characters that apparently we're just going to entirely dispense with. Like one character was kind of relevant in that a different unrelated character reminded our main character of that guy, but like this whole opening sequence, like introducing this team, not in depth, but they're there. It just felt like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, are they all getting transported? And then they didn't. And I was like, well, why did we waste all this time meeting these people if they're not going to show up? And maybe
yeah
they show up in episode 4 or later. But yeah, it just seems like the main character is like the player avatar and is supposed to represent you, the person playing the mobile game at home. And then this is supposed to be an adaptation of the story of the manga, which is an adaptation of the story of the mobile game. And it's just like it just feels a little lacking in momentum. And
yeah
I also thought it was pretty to look at for the first half of episode one, and it felt like maybe I was just still holding on to my hopes that this was going to be a hit with me and something I really enjoyed, and it looked better through that lens. Or maybe they just stopped. They started cutting corners halfway through episode one or something like that, but the animation started to get really herky jerky and really like corner cutty about halfway through episode
yeah
one and did not recover for the rest of it, except for the dramatically noticeable CG that they used in several moments.
yeah
The out of place CG. And
yeah. I you know how I feel about CG.
yeah, well, and modern anime uses a lot of CG, but it the techniques have been developed to incorporate it a little bit more cleanly into the like animation smoothing process rather than like plopping a 3D model onto a 2D television show. And this was really that second one.
Yeah
And then also to me, they made a mistake in episode two. They go see these statues of the Disney villains, which it's like it's cool. I mean, they're statues; they're not moving around, and they are not animeified. Like this is not anime Ursula; it's just Ursula. But then they do this interesting thing where they sort of run down the list of the seven villains, and each one, as they're talking about it and sort of recounting the deeds of this villain, but twisting it to be heroic, uh, they show a clip from the Disney movie, and I was like, you guys should not put better and more lovingly rendered animation clips in this show, even if those animation clips are from the early 90s. Like it's just blowing you out of the water, and it's reminding me of the fact that this animation could have been better, but it's not.
yeah. And maybe the word I should have used earlier is less campy and more like pandery.
Yeah, yeah, it's this definitely feels like a show made for people who are familiar with the source material, and the source material is not Disney movies, which I would have enjoyed because I grew up on Disney and I play Lorcana and I like that property and would like an anime version of Disney. But this is really just for people who are familiar with that mobile game. And I think if you
Yeah,
haven't played it, it doesn't have a lot for you.
yeah. So I think it's a the probably a lukewarm response from both of us.
Yeah, it's a
I don't
skip.
think I'm gonna keep on watching it.
No.
But if you love, love, love Disney and also this mobile game, you'll probably like this anime adaptation of it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some Disney fans out there who would enjoy this even if they haven't played the mobile game, but for me, it wasn't Disney enough to scratch that itch. So I think really the only people this is for is if you like that mobile game, go watch the animation. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to work for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our Fire Force episodes then, because that's what we watched this week. Blake, you have a minute on the clock. Tell me what happened previously on Fire Force.
Well, our main character Shinra is aspiring to be a hero by joining the Fire Force. This Fire Force, they are firefighters in that sometimes people in this world spontaneously combust and turn into fire demons, and the Fire Force goes and fights that fire to, slay the demon and, quell the problem. So Shinra and his crew have been in a sort of old-timey Japan style city, meeting up with a different Fire Force company. There has been some misunderstanding where some people have been posing as members of Shinra's team and saying stuff like, sowing the idea that his team is manipulating this other squad into working with the villains, or that they're gonna double cross them or something like that. So,
And time.
all right, well, so there's weirdness, and we're gonna cover that. Damn, that wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I realized I have this whole previously on section that I forgot to fill out, so I'm like trying to parse through this like wall of text. It didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, well, let's start with the first episode we watched this week, which is Fire Force episode 13. The trap is set. So this one, man, it's gonna tell you like the very end of the story of how Conro, and Soichiro, um, they were offered the option to be part of the Fire Force by this guy, Soichiro. He's like I guess he's captain of Company 4. And he's like, you guys get to form your own company. And immediately, Benimaru is like not okay with this, showing that like Benimaru is going to be that guy that's like, I don't know, he's very punk to be a part of a group that he doesn't trust very much from like the get-go. I don't know. The way that he responds to things is like the only reason he's part of the Fire Force is because he loves his town so much and the people in his town.
Yeah,
It's not so much about being part of like this government organization.
yeah. I think he would rather not be part of the government organization, and I guess it's not 100% clear why he acquiesced to that, other than I think just to sort of have additional resources that his town wouldn't have otherwise. There's definitely some stuff in a later episode where like some members of the Fire Force, not our heroes squad, but other squads are putting a lot of pressure on people in the world that are not members of the Fire Force, but which the Fire Force would like them to be members. So I don't. There's maybe I'm reading too much into that, but there's definitely some aspect of like him unwilling to go into this because he was already doing the protect the town thing, but there was something in it for him to say like, sure, we're going to be part of this, but we're going to be in charge of it. It seems like it was some
Yeah.
sort of bargain where it was like, if I say yes and I become part of your organization, then your organization will continue to leave me alone and let me do it how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. There's also a man like I'm going to say something so stupid, but in an in an anime where people can literally shoot fire out of their feet, um, I was watching this person manipulate somebody's face with just the heat of their hands,
Mm-hmm.
thinking to myself, "Man, this is a real ass pull." Um,
It is. I would agree.
um,
I think so far some of these powers about like catching the sparks off a bullet to redirect its trajectory, like that's a really clever use of fire powers that I think a lot of people would not think of. Um, Using heat to shape a person's face like putty is not how any of that works.
Yep.
And I was just like, for the sake of the story, I'll go with it, but you're really pushing things.
Yeah. So if you're not caught up with this episode, there is a guy that can manipulate people's faces to make them look like other people, and he is obsessed with the artistry of it. And if
Mhm.
anybody knows how I feel about art
You love an
villain
artist.
characters, I am not a fan because it feels so obnoxious. It just feels like a trope at this point for me that I just actively don't like.
Yeah. Well,
Damn it, Didara. Datara is just everywhere, and I hate him.
I think there's also a thing in anime where a lot of characters are a single personality trait or a
Yeah,
single gag. Like there's the girl we talked about this maybe last time we covered Fire Force. There's the girl from the other squad who she's in the intro and she's worked with our heroes a few times, and her powers are cool. She sort of goes into sort of like a Naruto style fox cloak with her fire powers and moves around in an animalistic way, and it's really sick. Her personality is accidentally has her clothes ripped off and then accuses characters of doing it on purpose, and rinse and repeat. And it's like, this is a thing that just happens a lot in anime, but maybe more in some anime than others.
yeah,
And I think that this anime so far has kind of fallen back on this character as a single trope or a single gag, with obviously some exceptions, but yeah, I think there's a lot of that going on in this, and this is no exception. But the villainous because art, and then sees the world through the lens of whether or not he finds it artistically pleasing to his own specific twisted vision of art, is a very specific trope. It's weird that it happened
yeah,
twice.
yeah. And it's just one of those things. He's part of the White Hoods. The White Hoods are showing up here to turn a whole bunch of people into infernals, and also to try to find, a very special person that is going to be able to take their bug inside of them and give them the new horrible monster that will destroy the planet. And that's what they're looking for here, and they think that they're going to find it. Turns out what they find is a fight that they did not expect to happen, and that is because Arthur and Shinra are going to find them and catch up to them, while Benimaru and I guess the rest of the company, they're gonna go and they're gonna just start putting out fires, as it were,
Well,
around the town,
literally,
and
because
getting people to.
the villain's plan is to catch a bunch of people on fire and also have a lot of their underlings manipulated to look like members of the town and to
Yeah,
sow chaos. So there are, part one is there's a bunch of forced infernals, because we've learned that they can use these insects to cause people to infernalize. So they're
yeah,
creating multiple points of infernalization that the fire force has to spread out and deal with. And in the meantime, their underlings are pretending to be members of this town and are giving contradictory information so that the townspeople are running around in confusion and chaos rather than escaping to safety and letting the fire force do their thing, which is, I think, a
yeah,
decent plan. I enjoy this.
yeah. I do love that the solution of this is just the most anime solution that I've ever seen,
Yeah.
which is that what Benimaru is going to come up with after being told that he's the person that has to convince everybody what to do is fly up above the town on the top of a tower that he has turned into a rocket ship, and fly over everybody to scream at them that he is going to find out and deal with everything, but in the meantime, don't trust anybody and just fight your neighbors, because people in this village love to fight,
Uh huh.
and these idiots aren't going to be able to stop us if we just fight each other's faces.
Uh huh.
Um,
This is the.
and that's what happens.
It's a great. It's a great anime bullshit plan, because it's like, yeah, everybody in this town is just ready to fucking throw hands at the drop of a hat, and the villains won't have anticipated that because most people are not in that way. So beat the shit out of each other, and if you're a member of this town, you'll enjoy that because every once in a while it's Fight Club, I guess. And if you're not a
Yeah.
member of the town, you will have the shit beaten out of you because you're not prepared. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
Exactly.
stupid, but it works.
Yeah. Um, Shinra and Arthur are having the most obnoxious fight. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
say that because of the fight itself. Because, by the way, one of the White Hoods, she has a cool ability. She shoots like these really cool arrows that are hard to like stop. She's like a sniper. Um, the other character is has knives. Is all I can pick up. But
Yeah,
so
I don't really remember. He was the defensive character because she's the ranged, but I couldn't tell you how he was defending. Just generic
yeah, for
fire,
real.
I guess, because it's not important. That's not his real purpose in the story is to do the thing he does next.
Yeah. Um, but Shinra and Arthur, the reason they are not able to fight perfectly is because they can't stop butting heads,
Hmm.
literally and physically. It's just, man, they keep on running into each other.
They just have no
And
teamwork, and
Shin's,
so they're
sh-
they're just stepping on each other's toes instead of
yeah,
working in unison because they don't get along, and they haven't
yeah,
really fought together before this, and they've clearly not trained to fight together. So it's like I'll take person A, you take person B, and then when they break, they both move in towards the middle to loop around and end up running into each other instead of one going first and one going. There's no you go
yeah.
low, I
I,
go high. They're just messing it up.
I love Shinra's solution, which is I'll fly, you run around, and
Yeah.
that'll be the solution. So that takes us into episode 14, For Whom the Flame Burns. And this episode starts with the member of the uh, White Hoods turning himself into an infernal,
The guy with the
um,
knives.
and and he drops his knives in order for him to have horns, and he is going to become way too powerful for Shinra and for Arthur to take care of.
Yeah.
But turns out Benimaru is just going to show up with I man, his ability is so fucking cool. It's just like flying around on things that he's turned into rockets.
Yeah, it looks like
Um,
he's turning mops into rockets. And if you played the new Pokemon game, it reminds me a lot of the brand new Mega Delphox, where you're just witching around with other broomsticks at your beck and call. He's definitely giving sort of like witch vibes.
yeah,
I also want to point out that there's interesting world building happening with this guy infernalizing because he does not turn into a regular infernal. He turns into, they keep calling it a demon. And
yeah,
this infernal has the big demon horns, a la Hellboy. We have seen this in Shinra's flashbacks when he reflects on the burning of his house and until recently presumed murder of his family, uh, where you see that it was a horned figure that did this. So this is not telling us that Mr. Knives is the horned figure, but rather that a horned figure is a type of infernal or is something that can happen
yeah.
instead of infernals. I'm not 100% sure, but they keep calling it a demon, not an infernal. Maybe that's a class of infernal, whatever. We'll find out later. But what's important is that we're learning that there is a thing called a demon that can happen as part of the infernalization process that is bigger and scarier and stronger. And they
Yeah.
also, the White Hoods, note that a demon has appeared here before, which is a reference to that flashback that we were talking about at the start of the episode. And
Yeah.
they did not believe that a demon could appear in the same place twice. And now that Mr. Knives has turned into a demon, they are able to amend that theory and realize that they can re-demonify places that have had demons show up.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things too about the way that they go about all of this stuff, by the way, is very much like revelatory. Like this is just like their religion almost,
Yeah.
where it's just like they're worshiping the god of destruction. They want the world to burn down, and then like they keep on referencing Shinra's ability, which they gosh, I can't remember the name of it.
They
It's like a special
yeah, Adola burst.
Adola burst,
Yeah, they're
right?
looking for somebody that has an Adola burst because that person has the ability to like infernalize the right way, or there's something about the turning people into infernals process that is them attempting to find a person with an Adola burst, which is a very special connection to fire or generation of fire or whatever that can lead to this big they're trying to sort of like bring back or create a sort of mythic religious figure of like cleansing fire to like purge the world. But
Yeah.
to be that big and powerful and world changing, you have to have an Adola burst. So they're looking for those people.
Yeah. And so apparently Shinra has that. The way that it manifests with Shinra is that he can feel the where other people are and their fire inside of them, and the connection to that makes him basically have a psychic connection with other things.
Yeah, he has
So he
spider
can
sense,
hear
but
them
through
and
his
feel
feet.
them. Yeah. So Benimaru is going to take over this fight from Shinra and Arthur by blasting the demon up into the air on the end of one of his rocket brooms and fly him way, way up into the air. Our archer is going to try to shoot them down, and she's like, nobody can stop my arrows. And Shinra's just like, I'm going to stop your arrows with my feet. And then he does. And then Benimaru is just like, thanks for helping me out. Get out of here because I'm about to use this insane ability. And you're just like, oh, I wonder what that is. And then he fires the demon up into the air and uses an insane amount of power because the next shot of it is not of the explosion afterwards. It's of the characters on the ground looking up and seeing a blood moon. And you think to yourself like, oh, that's like a weird coincidence, but it's not. It is like a fire explosion thing that is so huge that it looks like the moon in the sky that is incredibly close to the town. And it would be so powerful that it would create, like, it would probably destroy the whole town if he had used it there. And he calls it Crimson Moon.
Yeah, so he destroys the demon guy. He then has kind of used up all of his power, so he can't keep himself up on his mop broom. And Shinra, who is flying with his jet feet, is able to catch him and get him down. The White Hoods retreat because they kind of have what they came for. I assume they would want. There's something about the Adola burst that I'm not 100% sure on here because I don't think the show is specified. I don't know that it's clear that because Shinra has the Adola burst, whether or not anybody else can have it. I'm not sure if it's a one and done situation or if it's just like a very rare trait. I'm also not clear on if they need to infernalize Shinra against his will or if they need him to join their cause. I do believe they currently would like him to join their cause, but I don't know if it's a requirement. But they sort of retreat because they're like, we figured out that demons can happen in places where demons have already happened. Demons do not follow the rules of lightning. And they also have realized that they know who has an Adola burst, and that's good for them now. So they just withdraw.
Yeah. The end of this episode is bow-tied with two things happening. The first one is Benimaru and Obi. They solidify their connection between Company 7 and 8 because they have this shared experience together. And then the other one, I remember it happening at the end of this episode. You have it as the start of the next episode. But the Knights are going to go and they're going to tell about the Adola burst to their commander, which turns out to be Sho. Sho is going to be Shinra's brother, and you realize, oh shit, like these characters are connected. His brother didn't die in this fire. Oh man, some weird shit's gonna happen. But anyways, let's start this new season off. I guess I don't know if this is a second season or if this is like
No, we're still in
a
season
break in the first season. But the opening changes.
Yeah. The opening changes. It is not at all as good as the first opening by
I do
a
not
long
like it.
shot. It's not. I don't care for it. I'm not a skip
Yep.
the intro kind of guy, but I might skip this intro. I don't think it's very good.
Yeah. This is
Um,
episode 15, The Blacksmith's Dream. And if you don't like Screamo, you're not going to like that opening.
no,
So
but you might
anyways,
still like that one screamo opening from Bleach. I think that one's pretty good.
yeah. Um,
So
they get forced to have a scientist as part of their group as the beginning of this episode. He's a character that seems like he's going to be very interesting, but I don't know where his I don't know what he wants to do or why he
Yeah.
wants to do anything. He just seems to be this character that's thrown in to be zany at the start of it,
well,
which seems to be like
but we've also
kind
seen
of
him before as part of the villainous team or something.
yeah.
When we first were introduced to the character Joker, this guy was shown to be working with him in some way. I don't know
Yeah.
that I don't know that Joker is a member of the White Hoods, but I think he is. He at least knows about the White Hoods. And Joker was the person who intimated that Infernals might be created. And then when we found out that there were these bugs that could make people into Infernals, this scientist was the guy who was like messing with that, right? No, he was messing with the ashes of an infernal that Joker uses to cause explosions. This scientist was like providing them to Joker, so he's in cahoots with a character that has been shown to be a villain previously.
Yeah,
We do
Victor
not
Licht
know,
is his name.
huh?
The name of this character is named Victor Licht.
Yeah. So we don't know if he is a part of the White Hoods. We don't know if he is. I mean, we do know that he's a member of the Fire Force, but that also parts of the organization of the Fire Force are corrupt and are secretly, it's a little bit of a Shield Hydra situation if you're a Marvel fan. Like, some of the good guys are secretly the bad guys working towards the bad guys' plans and to undermine the good guys. And so this is sort of the bad guys being placed on the team by the organization that is supposed to be the good guys. It's not clear if the people that placed him there know that this scientist has knowingly worked with the bad guys or not, and if this is part of some plot or if it is just a serendipity for the villains. But yeah, I would say it's a really interesting point of tension to have a known villain part of the heroes group, and that point of tension is not explored at all in the rest of these episodes for today.
Yeah, it's not the rest of these two episodes. This episode and episode 16, We Are Family, are both going to be very, very focused on a specific character and the plot line around him. And that character is going to be Vulcan. Vulcan is expressed to be like one of the best engineers that is in all of like this world that they're in. He's considered to be like a genius. And because of that, the company is just like, okay, we need to go get a hold of him. Turns out they have some problems with that though, which is that the major organization, Hajima, is of particularly high hatred from Vulcan, mostly because they destroyed his family and stole something from them, which is the control of their final creation, which is the giant fire plant that produces all of the energy for this entire world.
Yeah,
And
they are also Hajima is also, I believe, the explicit benefactor of the Fire Force. It's not 100% clear how the sort of societal governmental hierarchy is in play here, but it seems like Haijima is sort of the big corporation of the world, and that they might be the de facto decision makers, if even if they're not the technically the decision makers, in that way that, like, yeah, this big organization supplies all the power to the world, so maybe our politicians are not members of that organization and are theoretically not supposed to be beholden to them, but this organization is able to exert direct power by corrupting those officials, or indirect power by just being too important to be properly regulated. The Fire Force members are theoretically a kind of governmental police force, I guess, to deal with the Infernals. But it's my understanding that Haijima funds them by providing all of their equipment, and may have a more direct hand in their goings on. So this grudge against Haijima the Vulcan feels extends very directly and explicitly to the entirety of the Fire Force as well.
Yeah. Because of that, when they go to try to recruit him, Shinra and Arthur, and oh god, I can't ever remember her name.
Yep.
But
The nun from
what's
the
that?
team.
Yeah, she comes. They all come along, and they are initially told no, and to go away. It turns out that Yu is going to be a person that believes in Vulcan and wants to be his apprentice, and he is actively studying underneath Vulcan and bringing him parts when other people won't.
Yeah, Vulcan's been
The
shut
reason
out by
why is
society because
yeah,
Haijima and the Fire Force, specifically the leader of Unit 3, I believe, of the Fire Force, has like blacklisted him at all the shops, so Yu is getting around that by being his little gopher.
yeah.
Uh,
And so, because of that, they're told no. Turns out, though, you can just walk into his shop because I guess he doesn't use locks, and they are able to start having a conversation with him. And basically, they're not going to leave until he talks to them more. So. Before that can happen, though, he has to have a quick conversation with Dr. Giovanni from Company 3, who is the leader of them. Um, he is a character that looks so evil he must be evil,
and
and
is.
he is he is like join me, Vulcan, and Vulcan's like no, and he's just like your whole family never joined me, and I'm frustrated. And you find out later that like he betrayed their family, and he's like burned out of their old photos with like Vulcan, his dad, his grandfather, and so like that family, he was I guess a part of that, and burnt
Yeah.
out of it because he did something that was unforgivable.
Yeah, they don't say
And
explicitly what happened, but they what we know is that Vulcan's dad and grandfather created the Amaterasu, which is the energy source for the entire, I guess, Japan, um, and that this Fire Force member, Dr. Giovanni, was working with them. Uh, there is a sense of betrayal that Vulcan has, and it is, and his dad and grandfather died. It is not stated explicitly that they died in mysterious ways, or that they were killed, or foul play was expected, but I got the impression that it was sort of implied that maybe they were killed, or they were in some way sort of put out to pasture. It definitely seems like Dr. Giovanni joined the Haijima Fire Force ecosystem when Vulcan's dad and grandfather refused to, and that this led to them at least being shut out from control of their creation, and that this caused hardship. So even if I don't know if you felt that like that implication was that like Dr. Giovanni caused their deaths, or that the Fire Force or Haijima caused their deaths because of Dr. Giovanni's influence. But you could also, I think, successfully read it that like they, being shut out of that ecosystem, were left kind of on the fringes of society without a lot of resources, and that caused despondency, or maybe led to them not being able to like pay for the things that they needed, or get, I don't know, the healthcare that they needed. That there is some implication that this decision that caused a schism between them and Dr. Giovanni was the direct or indirect cause of their eventual deaths.
Yeah. And we're also going to find out before we get to the fight what Vulcan's goal is inside of the world, which is that after the cataclysm that created the world that we are now seeing, all of the animal species were just like wiped off the planet. They couldn't survive for some reason, and he wants to bring all the animals back. That's what Vulcan's like big dream is. That is something that is really interesting to these other main characters. They all see it as like a big goal to, yes, like that is something that another main character's dream would be. And so they're just like, yes, we need to have you on your team. You're a big dreamer and you think outside of the box and you want to do weird things. Come be weird with us on this weird team. And he's just like, no. And then he talks about how he's so connected with these with Lisa and you. We also find out that Lisa was picked up. Basically, she was a runaway who lost everything, and he came and took care of her. And they formed this tight family unit. Only for us to get horrible whiplash when Giovanni shows up and he's like starting to leave, and he's like, okay, well, if you're not going to join me, then nobody can have you, and I need to extract the information I need out of you before I deal with you, meaning to kill him, I'm assuming. And Giovanni sends his two goons of the White Knight, of the white clad. One is going to be a guy that has a like a ball and chain with like the ball being made of fire.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy makes mirages, and it makes it very difficult for you to do anything, especially for the character that is going to try to fight and stop them, which is Arthur, because Arthur is an idiot above all things.
Yeah, he's a dumb, delusional guy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shinra is going to go try to deal with Giovanni. This leads to the first time we see our two main characters get curb stomped.
Mm-hmm.
Giovanni is going to beat the shit out of Shinra so fast, it's ridiculous. With his hands that are connected to like wires that are like connected to little rockets that he can fire, so his hands shoot around everything.
Yeah, his power seems to be manipulating the jets in his Extendo robot hands to, you know, grab you from afar and stuff. And he ultimately, Shinra and his battle, such as it is basically Shinra being tricked into looking for him in the wrong places because of the Extendo-Jet hands. And then Dr. Giovanni just tases him out.
Yeah, he just chokes him out and throws him on the ground. So, yeah. Arthur, by the way, is he's given a false sense of hope, because and I mean false sense of hope from himself, because he is going to be given a mighty steed.
Yeah, Arthur sees
his
himself
mighty
as a knight, a holy and just warrior, and he explains to Vulcan that he did not bring his sword with him when they came on this mission because they did not want to give away that they were Fire Force members initially. They were trying to get Vulcan on their side and then reveal they were part of the Fire Force. They also did not want to be perceived as coming in a way to press Vulcan to join them. They wanted to convince him, not to force him. And bringing a weapon might have sent the wrong impression. This logic makes sense to me. Tragically, the sword is what helps Arthur feel like a knight, and without it, he doesn't feel like a knight. He is able to sort of swordify any hilt-like object, so he gets like a wrench or something and is able to turn it into a sword. But then he explains to Vulcan that his powers are Tinkerbell. He has to believe or they don't work. So if he doesn't believe he's a knight, his power will be diminished. So then Vulcan rigs up a donkey head that is attached to his crotch
Yep.
as though he were riding one of those stick horses. And this lets our delusional idiot character envision himself as a knight riding a mighty steed when he's actually just some fucking guy with a donkey head hanging off of his crotch, and it is weird.
Yep. It also turns out to be a big nothing burger too, because he is not able to get around all of the different mirages that are in front of him after he like fights a good-esque fight. He is.
It does work initially. The problem is that the illusion guy then creates an illusion of what Arthur looks like right now. He basically creates a mirror for him, and Arthur realizes that he looks like an idiot and then loses all of his mojo.
Yeah. So he gets defeated. Vulcan is going to be like, well, I'm staying inside and protecting my family. Giovanni shows up and he walks past Arthur and he's going to go inside. And Vulcan is just like, well, we're just going to stay down here because we're a family and we're going to protect each other. And then Lisa turns to him and betrays him because it turns out she has just been a plant for Giovanni the whole time. She is going to knock out Vulcan, and Yu is knocked out. And Vulcan wakes up in the moment to be on the ground with Giovanni there, trying to wrestle out information from him about something called a key, and it's for Amaterasu. I'm assuming that Giovanni thinks that it is a physical key. I don't know if it actually is, but Vulcan seems like genuinely not able to answer what it is. He's like, I'm willing to give away everything, but I don't know what you're asking for. I don't have a key. And so this episode ends with Giovanni just like beating the shit out of him and then breaking everything that he loves, including his like apprentice who he shoots
in the chest.
Yeah.
And
he's just
is
like
a child.
Yeah. He's like, he might be able to survive, but he is on a time clock because he needs to get taken care of immediately. And if you don't give me the key, I'm just going to let him die. Mm-hmm. And so like it just ends with Giovanni and Vulcan at this standoff because Vulcan legitimately, the way he keeps on responding is just like, I don't know what you're asking me for. And that ends our coverage. It's just kind of like it's an episode that like, yeah, it's a cliffhanger. It is a very good one. And man, Giovanni makes a great villain, by the way. Mm-hmm. The way he is just completely unfazed at doing horrible shit is just fascinating as a character.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can tie it that like his villainness is tied to his religious zeal is just also fascinating.
Yeah, it also it's worth pointing out that they are explicitly stated to be connected to the evangelist. So while we have seen members of the Fire Force that are not working altruistically, they are not necessarily working for this villainous religious organization that's looking for the Adola burst and all that stuff. However, Lisa and Dr. Giovanni seem to be explicitly working for that group or as part of that group. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Stick with us after these credits, and we'll talk about what's coming on next week.
Next time on Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, we're watching Naruto Shippuden, starting with episodes 301 and 302, and then skipping some filler to pick up at episode 321 through 323.
Filler? What's that, Blake? What's filler? Is it just the worst thing that has happened inside of anime for years and years and years? And man, oh man, the more I watch new anime, the more I wonder why the fuck we ever had to deal with filler?
Yeah.
Yes! Yes, it is!
All right, well, we'll see you there.
Oh, God.